Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we're actually going to be doing a kind of in spirits of Halloween coming up. We're going to be doing a triple feature. So today we're going to be reviewing 3 films instead of just our standard 2 new films that we watch. The 3 films we're going to be doing today will be Bad Hair, the Mortuary Collection, and Halloween Party. So all horror films are all centered around great timing for Halloween, basically. So so those are the 3 films that we're going to be reviewing. And since we are reviewing 3 films, I say we don't waste a whole lot of time and we just kind of get right into it, man. So let's get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and start it off with the first film. So the first film we'll be reviewing will be Bad Hair. So Bad Hair is a film that is basically about getting a weave that is basically alive, if you will. I guess that's the best way to describe it. I kind of don't want to give too many spoilers about it, but so basically in a nutshell is basically it's set in the 80s, like the late 80s. And it's about a girl, an African-American girl that works at like this, like kind of like a hip hop, like radio or hip hop show. That kind of like if you were on like BET or MTV, like back in the 80s, you had like Yo MTV Raps or something of that nature. And that's basically what she is. She's basically kind of works at as an executive at or an assistant at like a hip hop like radio show, basically, or television show. I keep saying radio, but like television show. And growing up, she's always been considered to have probably like the bad hair, I guess, for African-American girls. Like her hair was very kinky. And, and a lot of her a lot of the people that are on that station, either had, were real, I guess is the best way to describe it. They considered like the natural beauty, natural hair, that kind of stuff. Something happens at the station, like either viewership's going down, and at some point they basically take over. A new owner comes in and takes over ownership. And basically, the lead character, she basically has a lot of great ideas for the new owner and the show and stuff like that, and kind of actually wants to be in front of the camera instead of like behind the camera, which she's always been. And part of the reason why many feel that she's been behind the camera is because her hair was, a little wild, and she never really did anything with it, never had her hair did or never had it done. She had a bad experience when she was a child. And so I think that kind of made her kind of shell-shocked getting her hair done. And so basically she's told like, hey, if you want an opportunity to be kind of in front of the camera, then you're going to need to do something about your hair. And so she reluctantly basically goes and gets like a weave done. And the weave that she get is basically, in a nutshell, alive. So it basically moves. It basically consumes blood to eat. So it feeds, and if it doesn't feed, then it starts getting like wild and crazy and that kind of stuff. So basically, it's about a weave that's alive. That's the best way to describe it without going into too many spoilers. That's kind of the film in a nutshell. Clearly, you can find it on Hulu. So yeah, it's not a very long film. What was it? Maybe hour and a half, maybe?
No, it was an hour and 43 minutes.
Oh, hour and 43
minutes. A little
longer.
Yeah.
Still not 2 hours though. Still relatively short for most films today, anyways. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. I just thought it was okay personally. To me, it wasn't that scary, and I felt like it took a really, really long time to even get into the horror element of it. I felt like it was like we were at least almost like 45 minutes into the film before she even got the weave. I felt like, because he spent a lot of time with her childhood and a lot of time with the at the station and that kind of stuff. And, like she had like an on again, off again boyfriend. And so, they spent a lot of time with that and a lot of time like with her family and at her apartment that she was behind on her rent because she wasn't making enough money at the station. And they spent a lot of time on this stuff before they even got to basically the horror element. So for me, I thought it was just okay because I felt like they took a little bit too long to get into the horror element. And I was never really scared, I guess. So I just didn't find it to be too scary in my opinion. And it just, I don't know, it felt, and I know they were going for like a late 80s, early 90s kind of theme or whatever, but it felt really grainy and lower budget, which it probably was. It did have a lot of good cameos in there. There are some surprising cameos in there. I'll give it that. And I don't want to get into the spoilers on that, but there are definitely some bigger name stars that appear in the film. But I just felt like it felt a little lower budget, and I felt it take a little bit too long to get going. And then, I don't know, by the end, it felt just kind of, and I was kind of into it for a little bit when things first started happening, but by the end, I felt it just got a little over the top and a little silly for me. Just my overall opinion. That's what I thought. What was your take on it, Jason?
I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I was really into it for like probably the whole first hour. I think I was really into it because it was, I really, I liked the setting. I liked the late 80s setting, and like all the fake R&B videos and stuff like that were pretty funny. And I liked that it actually took the subject matter fairly seriously, because if you hear it like, it's a movie about a cursed weave, you know what I mean? It sounds like a spoof almost. It sounds like comedy. And there is some comedy, and later on it gets a little goofy. But for the whole first hour, it takes the subject matter seriously, and it's, kind of a character study almost for like the first hour. And then it's like, it kind of becomes like kind of a vampire story in a way, because like the weave is like sucking people's blood, and then that she gets pleasure out of it, you know what I mean? And she gets rejuvenated from that. So it's almost kind of a vampire story. There's a little bit of a Suspiria in there with the witches and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, it's not very scary. It does get a little too over the top, a little too goofy toward the end. And ultimately it seemed like a little messy, a little bit of not fully realized potential. There are a lot of like secondary characters that I think we could have had a little more time with, you know what I mean? But yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. Didn't love it. Didn't dislike it. I liked it.
All right. Yeah. And like I said, we've talked about this in the past. There have been other films that we've watched where the horror doesn't kick in for like an hour, and I'm okay with that in many situations. Like The Rental was one that we reviewed that I really love, where I felt like the story was so good that, you know what I mean, I didn't care that the horror didn't kick in. But this one was a little different because I felt like they would make like this like horror sound kind of music like that. I don't know, there's like some sort of theme music they would play, and I thought that something was getting ready to happen, but then, it was like that dun dun, you know what I mean? Like kind of like something scary was getting ready to happen, and then nothing really happened, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So, it was like, I don't know, there was like a lot of like, miscues. I felt like that would as well. There's a scene towards the beginning when she was a kid where she's kind of getting her hair done and something happens, and they make it like something really, horrifying was going to happen in that moment. And it really, it really didn't. It wasn't necessarily, part of the story, I guess, if you will. Or part of the horror, I guess, if you will. And so I don't know, they kind of like, there was a few missteps I felt like with that. And then I don't know, I just, like I said, I just felt like you said, I felt like they focus a lot on the lead character, which is fine. But a lot of the secondary characters, I didn't learn anything about any of them, so I didn't care about any of them either. You know what I mean? So that was the other thing. It was just like, oh, what's going on with that story? You know what I mean? Like, or what's going on with this character? And like, I don't know, they, like the tie-ins with their family and that sort of stuff. And, you don't see them very, very often. And then, you kind of see them here and there sporadically, and there's not really a big tie-in with that. And I don't know, I don't know. I just felt like there was a lot of missteps in the film for me. So, so like I said, that's partially why I thought it was just okay. So, yeah, but, sounds like you liked it a little bit more than I did, but,
it never happens either, right?
Yeah. And especially with horror. Yeah. So, so I tend to be a little bit more critical of horror overall, but
you tend to be more critical, period, I'd say.
That's not necessarily true, but whatever.
Well, if it's an action movie, maybe not.
Maybe not. All right, we'll move on to our second film, which is the Mortuary Collection, and I'll let you take that one away, if you would, please, Jason.
Sure. Yeah, the Mortuary Collection is one of my favorite types of movies. It's not only a horror movie, but it's an anthology. I love horror anthologies. Some of my favorite movies of all time, like Creepshow, Black Sabbath, Qui-Gon. There's loads of them, and there's a lot of really bad ones, and a lot of good ones. But this story is it's set in kind of a seaside town that is very H.P. Lovecrafty. But it involves a young woman who visits a funeral home run by Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown's one of those actors that you may not know his name, but you recognize him because
you've seen him everywhere. Yeah,
he's been in a million things. Mm-hmm. But he serves as kind of the crypt keeper role here. Because most horror anthologies, they have the framework story that connects all the stories. So this story is kind of the framework story where he is telling this young lady stories about people who have wound up in the funeral home, how they wound up there. And it's like she wants to hear something really scary, something really freaky. So basically his stories start getting like more and more scary as he goes along, because like the first one, she's like, yeah, it's okay. You can do better though. So it's kind of like that framework. Without mincing words, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm already like a sucker for horror movies and horror anthologies, but I thought this was definitely a cut above your average horror anthology for sure. There's kind of a little something for everybody in this. There's like stories that are scary, there are stories that are funny, there are stories about monsters, stories about killers. So there's a lot of variety. And I really enjoy it. People always, not always, but a lot of people pick on the framework stories in these kind of movies. As in, like, people usually don't like the framework story. It's like just kind of an afterthought or something. But this is like definitely, and first of all, I like the framework stories usually. But this one, it really matters. Sometimes the framework story is just kind of there as an afterthought to connect the stories. But this one, this time, when you get to the end, the framework really is its own story, which sometimes they aren't. So I really enjoyed it. I felt like every story was better than the one before it. Like the first story is okay. The second story is a little better. Third story is really good. Fourth story is really good. And then actually the framework and the way it feeds into the final story, I thought was a really great little twist. That I did not see coming. And I watch a lot of horror movies, so I see a lot of twists coming, but I did not see that coming at all. And I thought it was really entertaining the way they did that. But it's got a really cool look to it. It's got a lot of good acting, a lot of good special effects. It's got a lot of good Halloween-y, spooky atmosphere. It's pretty much my kind of movie, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I would recommend that one for sure. How about you?
I liked it. I don't know that I liked it as much as you did. Like I said, I do like anthology films and the creep shows, Cat's Eye, and this one kind of reminded me a little bit of a Tales from the Hood.
Oh yeah, and Tales from the Dark Side. The Tales from the Dark Side movie too. It reminded me.
Yeah. So this one reminded me a little bit more of Tales from the Hood because that one was also at a funeral home as well. Yeah. So that's why it reminded me a little bit more of Tales from the Hood. So it had that, and it had that same framework and kind of some twisty moments in it and that kind of stuff. So that's why this one kind of reminded me a little bit of that one. With anthology films, unfortunately, obviously there's always stories that are better than others and that sort of stuff. I really liked the last story a lot. I thought it had a really, really unique kind of twist, if you will, to it. I enjoyed that one a lot. The stories weren't bad. I didn't hate any of them. Just some were better than others. I thought it was decent. I didn't love it, but I thought it was decent. It was better than Bad Hair, that's for sure. But I thought it was decent. Like I said, I did like a lot of the stories. Like I said, it was definitely, there were scary parts in it, that's for sure. And it was also funny in parts as well. So it did have some humor elements to it as well. So overall, like I said, not a bad film. Definitely one that I had to rewatch the last story again just to piece some things together. You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of things I was like, well, I kind of need to see that again just to see how that all pieced together. You know what I mean? Like, so that's so that's a plus. I at least went back to it to piece parts of the story back together again. You know what I mean? Because there were some things I was confused about, so I was like, I need to watch that again just to make sure that I'm seeing that right. So
yeah, did it work? Because I haven't watched any of it a second time, but it seems like when I was thinking back on it, like, oh yeah, I guess that does make sense that way.
It does make sense, but there's still some elements where it was still a little bit. I don't know. I feel like they could have did a little bit more to it when I watched it the second time. It works, I guess. It does work, but there's still some things that they're still kind of like, is that really, you know what I mean? Like, so it's still kind of, but it does work, I guess, if you will. So, but it was interesting, that's for sure.
Right.
You know, like I said, and you know, it had everything from, like I said, just straight horror to really grotesque to, you know what I mean, to and it is one of those ones where there's kind of like, you know, central characters in all of the stories as well. So so I do like that too. So like, unlike what was it, Trick or Treat, where there was like kind of 4 or 5 different stories going on, but they were all taking place kind of at the same time.
Right.
This one, there were like kind of like central characters that kind of connected in every single story. Mostly the doctor, I think, was in all 3 of the stories. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was mostly, except for, I don't know about the first one. I don't know who was. I don't know.
Well,
he wasn't
only one person. That's
yeah,
only one person.
yeah. But all the other ones, the last 3, he was kind of in the last 3 stories connected. So
right. Yeah.
But yeah, overall, not a bad film though. Definitely one that you know, if you're into horror and you like anthology horror films, definitely want to check out. And if you like, you know, these good twists and stories as well, you probably would get a kick out of this one also. So
yeah, and I would be totally up for a sequel too. It seems like if it's successful, which I think it is, I think a lot of people are watching and a lot of people are liking it. But if there was a sequel, like the ending definitely sets it up for another installment were that to happen. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely one where you could do a sequel to as well. So yeah, I agree. Definitely. Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Well, that is the Mortuary Collection. The third one we'll be doing, I will take on, which is Halloween Party. So Halloween Party doesn't have a lot to do with a Halloween party, but Halloween Party is basically one of those films where it kind of reminds me of like other films where like there's like a game that you play, and if you don't play the game right, like, you know, something bad's going to happen to you. Like what was that one that we watched, the Game of Death or whatever, where like they had to like kill people within a certain amount of time, or one of them was going to die kind of thing. It was like a countdown thing. So this one's kind of in that same kind of vein where this one, there's basically like an internet game, I guess, if you will, where people are getting like, they're asked questions about your greatest fear, and you have like an X amount of time in order to type in your greatest fear. And if you don't complete it within that X amount of time, your greatest fear will then come back and basically kill you in a nutshell. And that's basically kind of how it is. And so it kind of stars like a girl who's friends with somebody that ends up getting killed, trying to figure out what's going on. And then she has like kind of like this nerd like tech guy that she kind of becomes friends with as well, as he's trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And so that's kind of how the movie starts. And then it kind of takes a shift in a different direction with like, creepy experiments being done on like these like deformed kids, and I don't know, it just kind of goes off the rails at some point, I feel like, in my opinion. It gets really weird, really wacky, really silly, and really not that scary. So I felt like it's just really strange. It was a really strange film. It was very, very messy. Like I said, it was kind of all over the map. And I ended it probably a little bit more confused than when it started. Like, what the heck was that even all about? You know what I mean? And so it was very, very strange film. Let's put it that way. So I did not like this film at all. I didn't care for it. I definitely, by about midway through, I was just kind of basically just going through the motions, waiting for it to be over at that particular point, I guess, if you will. So yeah, it did not resonate with me at all. So did not like this film. So how about you, Jason?
Yeah. Yeah. See, like I said before, I give a lot of extra leeway for horror movies, and especially horror movies that are about Halloween, which is my favorite holiday. So I thought this, just by looking at that poster, I thought like, oh, this is a slam dunk for me.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch this. And
Yeah.
a friend of mine who's really picky, a friend of mine who hardly ever likes anything like this of all movies. So I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a fun little movie. Yeah, it's not very good.
No.
Like I thought, like in the beginning, like it's got a funny first scene. You know, I thought, oh, this is gonna be fun. It's gonna be kind of like a lighthearted version of The Ring or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
another one like The Ring, where you have like 7 days and that kind of stuff, but it just takes a really, really weird or wacky turn, I feel like.
Yeah, so. And the ending is kind of like The Ring too. You know, I don't want to spoil it or anything, but it's like, but yeah, like, you know, it starts out pretty funny, I guess. I do like the two main characters. You know, I probably would have given it just barely a pass, but I really don't like. You know, you already talked about it. I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but the whole thing of like, you know, deformed children equal evil. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of it left a bad taste in my mouth. It felt kind of exploitive. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, oh, because these kids are gross looking, they're scary, and you know, that just kind of turned me off. And it's just not scary. It's not funny. I mean, I did laugh a few times, but there's just like scenes like that toilet scene that just went on forever, and it just like, it's so stupid, so stupid. And yeah, and it's like, you're right. It's just like such a strange movie.
Yeah, like, it's you know, and it really has nothing to do with Halloween Party, like a Halloween party.
No Halloween party.
Yeah,
I mean, there is, but there's not.
Yeah, there's not really a Halloween party. You know what I mean? So like, I'm going into thinking like there's going to be like some big scary Halloween party that's going to happen, but it never really materializes into that. You know what I mean? So it was like there was the makings of maybe a party was going to happen later that day or night, but the party never really went off that I could tell. So, but yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of issues with it. That's for sure. So
yeah. And just like that toilet scene, it's just like, it's so bizarre because it was like this frat guy saying like, don't tell me I'm going to have to start taking a dump with the door closed now. Yeah. Like, yeah, well, yeah, I think, you know, shouldn't you be closing the door? Like, why is the door open? What's happening?
I didn't understand that at all. I mean, who uses the bathroom with the door open? You know what I mean? Like, I don't, that's just weird. I don't know.
House. Just,
I don't know. It's just really weird. Yeah.
And, yeah. And here's the part where I actually admit that I actually, instead of just renting this, I bought it.
What?
Because it was like $1.99 to rent, and it was like, I don't know, I think $6.99 to buy. And I was just like, look at that. I'm gonna love this. I might as well just pay. It'll be worth $7.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
It wasn't even worth the $1.99 I paid to rent it.
Yeah, I know.
That should have been one of these free ones. But yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
Sorry, man. This one was my idea when we needed a third movie. Like you know, because we didn't want to pay the $15 for the werewolf movie. Now I wish we would have just paid $15 for the werewolf movie.
Probably
because that one's gonna be good. That one's gonna be good.
Yeah.
So sorry.
It is what it is. Yeah. We gave it a go. So.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Well, I guess we'll get into these reviews now. Then, so we'll start off with Bad Hair. I guess just the grade and overall face you would give that one.
I give it a 3.5 out of 5, which is a solid B. So that's this face. Smile, but no teeth. Just cool. Good, solid movie.
Cool. Yeah, I gave this one a lot lower. I gave it a 2 out of 5.
Wow, really?
Yeah. It wasn't scary to me. There wasn't just not enough going on for me. So yeah, I gave it 2 out of 5. So I'm going to give it this face, which is pretty much a straight face, and I'm moving on with my life. And then the Mortuary Collection, your overall grade and face, you would give that one.
I like that a lot. I give it a 4 out of 5, a solid B plus. Definitely something that I will watch every once in a while, mostly probably around Halloween. So even though it's not very specifically Halloween, it's exactly the kind of movie that I feel like watching around Halloween. So yeah, that's a 4 out of 5 B plus, which is this face. Smile with some teeth.
Cool. Yeah, you know me. I like to go a star below. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. So yeah, I liked it overall. Just it wasn't great. I did like it overall. So I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, and I'm gonna give it this face, which is a smile with no teeth. So, cool. And then Halloween Party. Overall grade you would give that one, and the face you would give that one.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to be at least a star apart on this one still. I'd give it a 2 out of 5, which for me is a C minus, you know. And that's giving it even like the extra leeway that I usually give for horror movies. So 2 out of 5, C minus, which is this face. A little bit of a frown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna be apart on this one. I'm definitely going with a 5 out of no. Oh no, I'm going with 1 star on this one, man. It was terrible. It was just not a good film. So yeah, I'm going with a 1 star out of 5 on this one, and I think I'm going to use my first angry face. So I'll be giving it this face, which is an angry face because I was very angered that I had to watch that film.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll have better luck with the next round of films that we watch. We're out of October now, so we can pretty much go back to anything, I guess, if we want to.
No, just horror movies from now on.
Yeah, that's it. It's just horror movies 24/7. Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah. Triple feature. They're not all going to be great, of course. So that's whenever you're watching, 3 new films, you can expect them all to be good. But sounds like you at least more or less enjoy 2 out of 3. So nothing wrong with that. So I like 1 out of 3 pretty much. So
and I own the other one. So
yeah, man. So you can watch Halloween Party anytime you want.
You can borrow it from me anytime, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pass on that one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and pass on that one for sure. Cool. Well, we thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. If you've seen the 3 films, let us know in the comments your thoughts, your takes. It's hard to recommend all 3 of them, but definitely if you've seen them, let us know. As always, if you like the channel, we ask that you like, subscribe. Make sure you always hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our updates. And we will be back with another show with you guys for you guys real soon. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope you have a great day. Bye.
Bye.